Welcome P1 to your English lesson, Unit 13, Part 4. And we will be looking at page 116. Let's go. During this part of the unit, we will furthermore identify 6 new vocabulary. So let's have a look, P1. Let's look at our first picture. Let's look at the boy's face. What can you see? So I want you to look carefully at the boy's face. And then, Teacher Al also included another picture. A comic book. A comic book. So let's look at the new word. Boring. Boring. Can you say boring? 1, 2, 3. Very good. We need to remember, students, that we need to distinguish between boring and bored. Those are two different English words. Now we are looking at boring. Boring is used to describe an object or a person that makes us feel uninterested, that we don't want to. It makes us feel uninterested. We don't want to. So look at this boy. He is reading a comic book. So look at his face. Do you think he likes the comic book? No, I don't think so. The comic book is boring. Moving on to our next picture. Let's look at the picture and we can see a police officer. And what does a police officer do, students? They make us feel safe. A police officer makes us feel safe. Can you say safe? 1, 2, 3. Very good. So an officer makes us feel safe and helps that no one hurts us. Excellent. Very good. So let's look at a sentence. A police officer keeps us safe. We can use this word in many different ways. For example, at school, I feel safe. Moving on to our next word. I'm pretty sure you already know this answer. What is that word? Quiet. 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 Can you try and say that word? 1, 2, 3. Very good. Quiet is when we do not make noise or we make little noise. So we are not loud, we are quiet. Very good, P1. So let's look at a sentence. We are quiet inside the classroom. The library is very quiet. Good job, P1. Moving on to our next picture. And I want you to look at this picture and tell me what you can see. Let's look. I can see a big street, and I can see many people walking around, and many cars, and many tuk-tuks, and many people on motorcycles and bicycles. So P1, when we walk on this street, Do you think it is safe? No. Teacher Owl will be scared. I think it is dangerous. Dangerous. Can you say dangerous? 1, 2, 3. Excellent. When something is dangerous, it can potentially hurt you. Something can hurt you. Let's have a look. Dangerous. This street is very dangerous. A tiger is dangerous. Very good, P1. Moving on to our next picture. We all know who this is. This is Mr. Bean. And look at the background. Burp, 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 burp. What do you think is happening in this picture? It is very noisy. Noisy. Can you say noisy? 1, 2, 3. Excellent. Noisy is when there are lots and lots of sound. And it's very, very loud and very noisy. Let's have a look. Look at the picture of the market. Do you think a market is noisy? I think so. There are many people and many people talking and many people making different sounds. The market is very noisy. Oh, what about these birds? Look at all these parrots. Parrots are big. Do you think they are noisy? I think so. The birds are noisy. Let's look at this picture. So we can see a boy and he is looking at something, and look at his face. He's like, wow. Wow. What is that word? Interesting. 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 Can you try and say that word with me? 1, 2, 3. Interesting. Interesting, students, is when we find something that we like. Imagine going to the zoo and you see all these different animals. Wow, look at that monkey. Wow, look at that giraffe. Wow. We find it interesting. Let's use it in an example. Science is interesting. The museum is interesting. Very good, P1. P1, now let's briefly look at opposites. Opposites. What is that? Opposites are pairs of words that have different meaning. Opposites. Let's look at the example. So we have a picture and we already know what the answer is. Happy. So if Teacher Owl asks you, what is the opposite of happy? You are going to answer sad. Happy, the opposite of happy is sad. Imagine your hand. You can see my hand. Now, you can see the opposite side of my hand. My hand, the opposite side of my hand. Happy, opposite, sad. Let's look at another example. So we can see a building. The building is very big. So if Teacher Owl asks you, what is the opposite word of big? What are we going to answer? small. Very good. Now we can open our English books on page 116 and complete Activity A. We are going to look and circle the correct words. The words that we just learned. We're going to look at the picture and we are going to circle the correct answer. Example number 1. Let's look at the students. So we have 1 and 2. Look at their faces. And now we have 2 words. Boring, safe. So we are going to circle the correct answer, which is boring. Please complete 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 by yourself. And question B. Question B, complete the words and match them to the opposites. Remember opposites, happy, sad, big, small. So, we have 1, 2, and 3, A, B, and C. Example number 1, we need to think and try and get the answers. So 1, they gave us Q. When we speak, we say qua, and then we have T. So we are going to look at the new words we learned and find Q, qua, qua. Oh, there it is. Quiet, quiet. So we're going to write the word, and then we're going to find the opposite. The opposite of quiet is noisy. Very good. And then you're going to draw a line to noisy. Please complete numbers 2 and 3. On page 116, question C, this will be the last activity on this page. You need to complete the sentences. So we have 1 and 2. Number 1, we have words inside a block. Noisy, boring, interesting, and safe. So students, I want you to answer. It's going to be your answers. So for example, I think the city is noisy. Okay, then you're going to write noisy. If you think the city is boring, you can write boring. So I think the city is noisy and interesting. Up to you. You can write your own answer for number 1 and number 2. Good luck!